Would you trust your season to a 36-year-old player with 5 years of back injuries just because he had one good month in the playoffs? Would you make room on a roster that desperately needs speed, consistency, and renewal just to give one more shot to a name that has already flirted with retirement? That's what's on the line right now. And the name sparking this debate is Max Pacioretty. For nearly 2 decades, Pacioretty built a career that commands respect. A goal scorer, a leader, a symbol of offensive consistency. Back in the Vegas Golden Knights days, it was hard not to picture him as a 30-goal per season machine. And that very image is what led the Leafs to take a chance on him. A bold move, but an understandable one. He had the stats, the resume. And even though age was beginning to take its toll, there was still hope he could be the perfect complementary piece to strengthen the second line alongside Tavares and Nylander. I believed it too. I saw the fit. I saw the potential. I believed that, with a solid season, Max could easily deliver 20 goals. But what came was silence. An entire season with only 13 points. A performance well below expectations, marked by physical limitations, a disrupted pace, and a familiar ghost that's haunted him in recent years. Injury. But what seemed like a melancholy end to a chapter suddenly turned into a spark of hope during the playoffs. Out of nowhere, Pacioretty showed up. 3 goals, 8 points, 11 games, in less than 2 weeks. He almost matched the production of his entire regular season. It was impactful, no doubt, and it reignited playing at a high level that splits represents a short-term and places a front office in front of a tough decision. If you love the NHL behind the scenes, the untold stories, the decisions that change the fate of a franchise, whether for a rebuild or complete collapse, this is your channel. Drop a like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Here, we don't sugarcoat or waste time with blind fandom. We analyze. Max Pacioretty won't be expensive. If a contract comes, it'll be low, almost symbolic. But what's at stake here isn't money. It's space. It's direction. It's the future. Because that roster spot has value. And the Maple Leafs aren't exactly overflowing with margin for error. Bringing Pacioretty back into the main group, whether on the second or fourth line, means taking minutes away from younger, healthier, more consistent players. If he's on the second line, the team is in trouble. If he's on the fourth line, then the question becomes, what's the point? That spot should be reserved for players who bring intensity, speed, and energy, not someone who already carries the weight of a glorious career, but is falling behind. In recent years, the Leafs have repeated a dangerous pattern, signing veterans at the tail end of their careers and hoping they'll bounce back, as if the past were still enough fuel. That's what happened with Spezza, Simmons, Thornton. All huge names, but none of them were decisive. None of them helped Toronto overcome the mental and tactical gap that separates this team from a true contender. Worse, each of them took up space that could have been used to develop the team's future. And if you still think Pacioretty might have something left to give, I get it. Playoff numbers are deceiving. They're seductive. But a season isn't won in 11 games. It's built through consistency, physical commitment, and emotional stability. Things he, unfortunately, can no longer provide. Meanwhile, names like Easton Cowan, young, cheap, and with the stamina to endure all 82 games of the regular season, are still waiting for a real shot. And that chance might disappear if Toronto keeps betting on ghosts of the past. Pacioretty is already considered retirement. That's a fact. But now, apparently, he wants to return. He wants to play in Toronto again. It's admirable, but also risky. Because, unlike what many think, the problem isn't if he plays poorly. The problem is what he prevents from happening if he's there. He blocks evolution. He blocks renewal. And maybe unintentionally, helps repeat the same mistakes all over again. So now I ask you, does Max Pacioretty deserve another shot in Toronto? Or should that page have already been turned? Comment down below. And think hard. Do you want to win the playoffs with a roster built on promises or memories? While fans are still digesting the possibility of Max Pacioretty's return, a name that carries more memories than concrete solutions, the backstage of the Toronto Maple Leafs is already elsewhere, quietly, away from the spotlight that usually shines on big stars and charismatic veterans. A new possibility is emerging. A subtle change, but one that could redefine the franchise's competitive DNA. Charlie Coyle. For some, he's just another name. For those who understand how to build a championship team, he's a strategic opportunity. And for the Leafs, he's a chance to finally change the pattern of decisions that have so often kept them stuck in the same place. But before we dive into this new phase, we need to face the full picture. The offseason has barely begun, and a brutal contrast between two narratives is already taking shape. On one side, Pacioretty, a 36-year-old veteran with a history of injuries and inconsistent performance, yet still carrying the shine of a former elite scorer. On the other, Coyle, a versatile, reliable, understated forward with a recent track record of solid delivery and tactical balance. Pacioretty represents instinct, the emotional attempt to revive something that may already be dead. Coyle represents logic, the cold and precise vision of someone wanting to fix structural flaws with functional pieces, not glorious memories. And that's where everything starts to change. The Leafs are negotiating, observing, and, according to close sources, seriously interested in acquiring Charlie Coyle, currently with the Colorado Avalanche. And this potential trade is not just another market move. It's a decision that could mark a new still playing at a high level. Toronto thinks represents a short-term and competes. Coyle isn't the kind of player who shines in statistics, but he's the kind you miss when he's not on the ice. With experience, tactical intelligence, and a rare ability to adapt to different situations, he's the player who glues together a roster full of stars but lacking collective identity. And that's exactly what Toronto is looking for. Depth, stability, consistency. Something none of the recent veteran bets delivered. From Joe Thornton to Jason Spezza, Wayne Simmons, and now potentially Pacioretty, Coyle offers more than goals. He delivers reliability. He can play on the third line and raise the level to fourth. He can be used on the power play or penalty kill. He can be a quiet leader in the locker room and a stabilizer on the ice when the team starts losing control. That's what the coach wants. That's what the playoffs demand. And that's what the Leafs have ignored for years in the name of big names, but not big moments. The front office now stands at a silent crossroads. If they give in to the temptation of bringing Pacioretty back, Toronto may once again repeat the cycle of betting big on a name that can no longer bear the physical responsibility. Last season proved this. Just 13 points in the regular season. A flash in the playoffs with 8 points in 11 games. But even that late shine doesn't hide the obvious. He's no longer the same, and he shouldn't be treated as such. On the other hand, bringing Coyle will be more than a trade. It would be a new positioning for the franchise. It would tell the world, enough with the romanticism. Now it's about winning. What makes this trade even more intriguing is the quiet context surrounding it. No scandalous headlines, no fanfare, but there's movement. There are conversations, and a growing understanding that this could be the missing piece for Toronto to finally have a balanced roster capable of enduring a long playoff run. But every choice comes at a price. To bring in Coyle, someone will have to go, and that's the next part of the equation. The front office knows it, the roster feels it, and the fans, well, the fans are divided. You see it on social media, forums, bar talks. Why not give Pacioretty one more chance? What if he manages to play 60 healthy games? But that what if has cost the Leafs too much for years. Maybe it's time to accept that chasing ghosts no longer works. Charlie Coyle represents a break from that past, and at the same time, a bridge to something new. Imagine a team where Tavares, Nylander, Matthews, and Marner don't carry all the weight, where the third line has identity, impact, and resilience, where tough games are no longer lost or lack of depth, but decided by players like Coyle, who might not shine, but who hold the team together. That's what's at stake. So, Leafs fan, what do you prefer? The emotional hope of a past that won't come back? Or the cold, calculated, and necessary building of a solid future? Leave your opinion in the comments. The debate is heated, the moment decisive. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and leave a like, because in the next video we'll reveal which current roster names are at risk to make space for Coyle, and it might be more surprising than you think. Stay tuned. What about to happen could be the definitive turning point for the Maple Leafs, because in the end, it's not the names that win championships, it's the fits. And this one might be the most important in recent years.